Hello everyone, welcome to another movie review. So today I saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which of course is the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But before I review this movie, I want to do two quick movie reviews for some films I missed while I was out on vacation last month. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Fast X. So if you just want to watch the Across the Spider-Verse review, skip ahead. I'll put some timestamps on the screen. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to review the movies from worst to best. So I'm going to review Fast X first, and then Guardians, and then Spider-Man. So just skip ahead if you don't want to watch the short mini reviews, I guess you want to call them. It'll be quick, but for my regular viewers who wanted to know my thoughts on those movies, I feel like it's a little late to make individual videos for those. So I'm going to just quickly talk about them. So feel free to skip ahead in the timestamps. So first is Fast X. Oh boy. You guys who watch my channel know I'm very lenient when it comes to my scores. I'm giving Fast X a 6 out of 10, and that's a pretty low score for me. I am a lifelong fan of the Fast and Furious movies. Fast 5 is the best one. I've said this many times. It was the peak of the series, and the films have slowly gone down in quality since. F9, I feel like majority of the people hate that movie. And if you watch my review I did of it 2 years ago, actually, which I'm surprised it's been 2 years since that movie came out, you could tell, actually, as a fan of the series, I appreciated that movie probably more than other people did. There were certain callbacks in there, like, the flashback with Dom's father. I always wanted to see that, little Easter eggs in the movie and certain characters being in the movie from Tokyo Drift and stuff like that, and, Justin Lin directing it. So F9, I feel like I liked that a lot more than most people did. And don't get me wrong, like, they went to outer space. It was totally bonkers and ridiculous. But I was able to watch that movie and actually enjoy it. Like, I don't know, that makes me insane or whatever. And you know what? I actually like John Cena as a villain, even though it's ridiculous. But anyways, so Fast X. Now, seeing reviews for this movie, most people seem to like this one more than F9. And to me, first of all, this is the first part of possibly a trilogy now. If originally it's going to be a two-parter. This is supposed to be, a beginning film, like a beginning chapter of a bigger story. And this movie does not flow properly, like, in terms of a movie. And also, my biggest issue with this movie, it feels like it has no heart. It has no soul. Like, I just feel like I'm watching this lifeless, generic action movie at this point. Like, none of the characters really did anything for me in this one. Like, nobody had any great moments. Honestly, the only standout, which a lot of people are also saying, was Jason Momoa. He was actually a really great villain. He was very entertaining. He was fun. Doesn't really fit the mold of the typical Fast and Furious villain, but, But again, this movie just felt incomplete. I get it, though. There's, all right, a good example of a part 1 and a part 2 where both parts are really good is Harry Potter, like Deathly Hallows part 1 and 2. Deathly Hallows part 1 is very underrated, in my opinion. That is a great movie that stands on its own, and it does feel like a complete, film. Whereas this one, no. So, and again, the action is absolutely bonkers. Vin Diesel literally flips a car over using one arm, by the way, which wasn't necessary. Not a spoiler, but there's a scene where he's holding a weapon in one hand and he needs to flip a car over for a particular reason. And he could drop the weapon and use both hands, but no, since he's Vin Diesel, he's got to use it with one arm and fucking deadlift the car and flip it over. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, this movie listen, I'm burnt out now. Like, F9, I wouldn't say I was burnt out, because at this point, you have to accept, okay, they're going to make at least 10 movies. Part 10 will be the final one, but then they announce, okay, it's actually going to be a two-parter. It's actually going to be a three-parter. It's like, when is this going to end? And, ever since Paul Walker passed, the quality has just gone down. So, yeah, this one, 6 out of 10. Like, seriously, And, not going to spoil any. I'm just going to keep this vague. When characters die in this series, they're notorious to come back to life. And I'm sure that's going to happen again. I'm just going to say that. Several instances are going to happen again. And there is one in this. And it's like, there are no stakes anymore. Like, literally, there's no stakes. So it's sort of insulting to the viewer, in my opinion. I just felt somewhat insulted by this movie, knowing what this franchise used to be. So that's it. 6 out of 10 for Fast X. Just, no. If you're a Fast and Furious fan, go see it, obviously, Support the series. Like, I'm gonna go see part 2 and part 3, even if they're total dog shit. I'm gonna go see them anyway, but this movie just felt like a betrayal, kind of, Yeah, I don't know. I just felt personally attacked. Anyways, moving on to the good stuff. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, I actually got to see this when I was in New York last month in Times Square, the AMC in Times Square. Very nice theater. Yeah, this movie was excellent. James Gunn did a fantastic job finishing off his trilogy. I gave this one on Letterboxd, if you noticed, a 4.5 and not a 5, which translates to me as a 9.5 out of 10. I'd give this a 9.5 out of 10. My only issue with this movie was when it resolved, it felt kind of weird. Like, the way the characters, like, the story ended just felt a little off to me. Like, the way where all the characters ended up, I'm not going to say too much if you haven't seen it. I'm sure everybody's seen it at this point. But I don't know. Something about the way the movie ended just felt kind of weird to me. But other than that, like, the rest of the movie is excellent. Rocket's backstory was incredible, incredibly emotional. Bradley Cooper, fantastic. Everybody was fantastic in this. Another little issue was Adam Warlock kind of felt out of place in this movie. Like, he didn't feel like an integral part, really. Like, he didn't really need to be there. But I didn't hate him by any means. I thought Will Poulter did a pretty good job, That man got jacked for this movie, And High Evolutionary Man, this is definitely like an top 5 MCU villain. Like, this guy was really good. He was on the Peacemaker show, of course. The actor, I can't pronounce his name. Fantastic job. Like, seriously, he was a great villain. A lot of people felt like didn't like how he screamed a lot and stuff. I thought that it was totally fine. Like, if this character was despicable, he was realistic, I think, and I don't think he was cartoony, really. I'm in a parking lot. I almost witnessed a car accident just now in front of me. Anyways, that's pretty funny. I don't know if you heard the honking in the background there. Yeah, Guardians 3 was really good. My opinion, it's the best of the 3 movies, I think. They're all great, but this one I thought was the best one. So, the action was top-notch. The soundtrack was top-notch, Again, just a very visually stunning movie. Yeah. Thank you, James Gunn, and everybody involved in the Guardians, for the 10 years, basically, almost, of content, So, but again, like I said, kind of a spoiler, but not really. Not really. Not really. I wouldn't say. You guys have probably seen the movie. So, I'll keep it vague regardless. So, you would think in the final chapter of these character stories there'd be some deaths. And I gotta say, I'm kind of let down in that department. Now, I'm not saying I want any of these characters to die, but if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, all right, whatever. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll do a spoiler. Just skip ahead to Spider-Verse if you don't want to hear it. All right, slight spoiler. So literally everyone, including the villain, makes it out of this movie. Literally everyone. So there's that, I guess. Like I don't want Drax and I figured going into this, Drax and Rocket were gonna die. I don't want either of them to die, but you gotta kill somebody, man. Like, seriously, this is supposed to be the final chapter of these characters. Like, I don't understand. Like, why you gotta kill somebody? This movie had no stakes, sort of, in a way. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that one kind of bothered me too a little bit. But still, 9.5 out of 10. All right, so Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. What a visual masterpiece. Oh my goodness, guys. If the first movie blew you away, prepare to have your socks blown off as well. This one, like, I don't know how they did this. Like, well, I saw it on IMAX, by the way, which I recommend you do. This was incredibly visually stunning. Um, Phil Lord and Chris Miller were producers on this. I can't remember if they directed the first one. I got to go back and look at that. But I rewatched the first one yesterday, and it's a great movie. You know, I've always thought over the years it's a little bit overrated. You know, no offense to anybody that thinks it's like the best superhero movie ever made. That's totally fine. I get it. But to me, it's a little overrated in that regard. It's not the best superhero movie ever made. Like, I don't think so. I still think Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie. But maybe I'm just biased towards nostalgia and whatnot. But this movie was very emotional. Like, I would say more emotional than the first one. And, man, of course, this was intended to be a part one. And it still sort of feels that way in a sense. If you just watch my Fast X portion of the video, I kind of complained about how that didn't feel like a complete film. This does feel like a complete film, though. That's the difference between this and that. There's many differences in terms of quality, you know. Of course, everybody that returned from the first movie, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, you know, Miles' parents, you know, Spider-Man 2099 was in a post-credit scene in the first movie, Oscar Isaac. All these characters, fantastic. Even better than the first time around. The emotional stakes, again, like I said, are amped in this one. The plot, I can't really say too much because the plot sort of has a lot of twists and turns in it. Basically, there's a villain in the film named Spot, which I'm sure you've seen, you know, artwork of him by now. He's basically a character that can teleport between dimensions, sort of, and he also opens up, like, little portals where he can, like, you know, he can, like, open a portal, punch it, and then his fist will come out a different portal. Sort of like that one character from X-Men, Days of Future Past. That one chick, I forget her name. She could open portals and stuff. But yeah, very, very cool character. Very funny character, actually. But, yeah, this being a part one, it's like, man, I really need to see the next thing. And I gotta say, too, not a spoiler, there is no mid-credit scene and no post-credit scene, which is kind of unheard of nowadays for, you know, a Marvel movie. Not a complaint necessarily, but, you know, you would think, especially considering this is essentially a part one and part two story, they'd have something. There is a little thing in the mid-credits that's sort of just saying, it's basically just text. It's just, you probably know what I'm saying. You probably know what I mean. You could stay for it if you want, but it's nothing you don't know already. But yeah, this movie, very, very good. Excellent. I gave this one a 10 out of 10. Like, seriously, it's that good. I was very much invested in this one. The action was incredible. Like, I don't know how these guys do that. Like, how many years did it take to make this movie? Like, obviously the last one came out 5 years ago. Does this movie really, does it take 5 years to make something like this? Because I imagine it does. Man, this was very good. Again, I got to be very vague on the plot. Basically, Gwen ends up teaming up with Spider-Man 29 going around because of what happened at the end of the first movie with the, I forget the name of the machine that they shut down at the end that ended up causing all the Spider-Verses to merge with each other. Basically, when that thing was destroyed, it ended up causing certain people to leak into other universes. So basically what Spider-Man 2099 is doing is going around and keeping the canon, you know, intact for every universe. So he's going around and cleaning up all the mess that was created from the last movie. So that's his job. But she ends up teaming up with him and a whole bunch of other Spider-Man. You got a pregnant Spider-Woman. You have a Indian Spider-Man. You have a punk rock Spider-Man. A lot of really cool variations of Spider-Man. And they actually stay at this Spider-Man headquarters place with, like, probably every version of Spider-Man ever in it. And there's some really cool cameos in this movie, too, which will surprise you, actually. I was very surprised. Yeah, very cool movie. Again, I can't really say too much. Miles ends up getting involved, and it just kind of has a lot of twists and turns. It's starting to rain, by the way. I don't know if you can hear that. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for this movie. Visually amazing. Like, if it doesn't win Best Animated Feature, I will be shocked. I'm pretty sure the last one did, so. But, yeah, I really don't have much else to say. This is an excellent film. I think that's a good thing. I don't have a lot to say, because, you know, I don't have any complaints or anything like that, so. I think that might be about it. I can't wait to see the next one. I think I'll do a slight spoiler section at the end, so leave the video if you haven't seen the movie yet. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, spoiler time. Alright, guys. So, I was actually wondering, when Miles came to the wrong universe at the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, where is this universe's Miles at? And it's revealed he's the Prowler, and that's pretty cool. Like, it's going to be interesting to see all the different twists and turns that happen in the next one. And, Spider-Man 2099 being a villain didn't really surprise me. I kind of anticipated that, because Spot was the villain, obviously, but he sort of took a back seat, like, halfway through the movie. So, I was like, all right, this guy, there's definitely something mysterious about him. There's a hidden agenda going on here, for sure. And, yeah, it kind of came as no surprise to me. So, I'm not really sure what's going to happen in the next one. I don't think his dad's going to die. He's probably going to find a way to save his dad, I think. I don't know. I can't really predict it. So, again, this movie, even though it's very complex, it's a very straightforward story. So I don't really have much else to say, like, in terms of predictions, really. Like, it's like, there's a million things that could happen, and it was cool seeing Donald Glover, be live action in this. It was cool seeing Mrs. Chen from the Venom movies live action in here. It was cool seeing a Lego Spider-Man universe. Of course, Phil Lord and Chris Miller made the Lego movie, so yeah, that was funny. And J. Jonah Jameson, voiced by J.K. Simmons, here and there in the movie in the background. So that was pretty funny too. But there's little archive footage of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in the movie, which was funny. I don't know if they showed Tom Holland or not. I didn't catch it. But who knows? They could show up in the next one as actually voicing characters. That'd be cool. So, but yeah, I don't have much else to say. It's starting to rain a lot more, so I got to end the video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought of the film in the comments. And how would you rate all three of the movies I just reviewed, even though they're not really meant to go together, but, anyways, thanks for watching, and have a good one. Bye-bye.